Welcome to my channel, Value Old Coins. Here you'll find videos about rare, valuable, and interesting coins from around the world. Watch the videos, learn about coin history, coin values, and unique facts you won't find anywhere else. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. It really helps us grow and bring you even more amazing coin content. Thanks for watching. Let's get started. The 1979 Canadian 5-cent coin featuring the inscription Elizabeth II D times G times Regina is a fascinating piece of numismatic and cultural history that reflects not only the economic trends of late 20th century Canada, but also the enduring symbolism of the nation's coinage. This particular coin, often referred to as a Canadian nickel, represents the steadfast design traditions of the Royal Canadian Mint and the continuation of Queen Elizabeth II's reign during an era of significant transformation in Canadian society, economy, and identity. Below is a deeply detailed and lengthy historical, design, and numismatic analysis, written as if one was studying the coin for a full 30 minutes, capturing every major aspect of its production, artistry, and importance. The obverse of the 1979 Canadian 5-cent coin bears a right-facing effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin, one of the most accomplished sculptors of royal portraiture in the 20th century. This portrait of the Queen first appeared on Canadian coinage in 1965 and was used until 1989. The Queen is depicted wearing a tiara known as the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, one of her most iconic jewels. Her image on the coin is youthful yet regal, symbolizing stability and grace, capturing the spirit of the Commonwealth during a time of modernization and global change. Around the portrait is the Latin legend Elizabeth II D times G times Regina, which stand for Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina, translating to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. This inscription is traditional across Commonwealth coinage and signifies a constitutional monarchy under divine providence. The engraving's clean, balanced lettering is executed in a classical Roman font, reflecting the precision of the Royal Canadian Mint's diework. The simplicity of the obverse design places full focus on the Queen's portrait, embodying a sense of continuity, national unity, and enduring monarchy. The reverse of the 1979 5-cent coin features a famous beaver motif, designed by G. Krugergray, an English artist whose design has become one of Canada's most recognizable national emblems. The beaver is shown industriously gnawing on a log while sitting atop a mound of wooden stones, surrounded by calm water, an image of perseverance, hard work, and natural harmony. This design was first introduced in 1937 and has appeared on nearly every 5-cent piece since, making it one of the longest-running coin motifs in Canadian history. Above the beaver is the word Canada, signifying the issuing nation, and below the beaver is the denomination 5 cents and the date 1979. The engraver's initial kilogram appears subtly near the design's base, a tribute to Krugergray's artistic legacy. The detailed engraving of the fur, the texture of the wood, and the rippling water exemplify the high craftsmanship of Canadian coinage, which consistently aimed to balance durability with aesthetic appeal. The beaver has deep symbolic meaning in Canadian heritage. It was an essential part of the fur trade economy during the country's colonial history and later became a national emblem representing industriousness and resourcefulness. Its presence on the coin underscores Canada's connection to nature, wilderness, and the industrious spirit that built the nation's prosperity. The 1979 Canadian 5-cent coin is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a silvery appearance and magnetic properties. This alloy, commonly called cupro-nickel, was standard for the denomination from 1922 until 1981, when Canada briefly experimented with nickel-plated steel. The coin weighs 4.54 grams, has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, and a thickness of 1.76 millimeters. Its edge is smooth, plain, providing both aesthetic simplicity and ease of production. The choice of nickel-based alloys for the 5-cent coin had economic and practical reasons. Nickel was abundant in Canada, particularly in the mining town of Sudbury, Ontario, which became one of the world's leading sources of this metal. Thus, the 5-cent coin was not just a unit of currency, but also a symbol of Canadian natural wealth and industrial capability. The 1979 Canadian 5-cent coins were struck by the Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa. This year saw the continued use of high-quality dies and presses that maintained exceptional detail and consistency across mass production. The mintage of the 1979 issue was approximately 141,243,000 coins, making it a common circulation issue, but still prized among collectors when found in high-grade condition. The coins were struck using standard circulation die pressures, and no official mint mark appears on this denomination. Proof-like and specimen sets were also issued by the Mint, containing specially polished 5-cent coins that exhibited mirror-like fields and frosted devices. These versions are highly desirable for collectors seeking pristine examples of the year's coinage. The year 1979 was an interesting period in Canadian history, marked by political shifts, economic adjustments, and cultural evolution. The short-lived government of Prime Minister Joe Clark took office that year, and Canada faced inflationary pressures and global energy challenges. Amid such changes, Canadian coinage remained a stabilizing national symbol, tangible, enduring, and familiar in the hands of every citizen. The 5-cent coin continued to circulate widely, facilitating everyday commerce in a country whose economy was diversifying beyond natural resources into technology and manufacturing. Queen Elizabeth II's portrait on the coin reinforced Canada's ties to the British Commonwealth. Yet by the late 1970s, the country was asserting a distinctly Canadian identity, both politically and culturally. Coins such as the 1979 nickel represented this duality, a proud link to tradition and an emblem of an independent nation. From a collector's perspective, the 1979 Canadian 5-cent coin is not considered rare, but it holds significant educational and nostalgic value. In circulated condition, it is generally worth its face value of 5 cents, though examples in mint state, MS-65 or higher, can fetch between $1 and $5, depending on luster and strike quality. Proof-like and specimen versions from official mint sets may command slightly higher premiums, often between $5 and $15. Collectors often seek examples with sharp details in the Queen's hair, minimal surface marks, and full definition in the beaver's fur and waterlines. Errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or double dies are extremely scarce this year and may be worth considerably more to specialists. The 1979 Canadian 5-cent coin is more than a monetary artifact. It is a miniature work of art encapsulating Canadian pride, nature, and history. The beaver, as a national animal, represents diligence and unity. The Queen's effigy symbolizes stability and the constitutional order of Canada's government. Together, these two sides reflect Canada's balance between heritage and progress. Holding a 1979 nickel today is to touch a piece of Canadian. The 2013 Canadian 5-cent coin, inscribed with Elizabeth II D times G times Regina, is a small yet profoundly meaningful piece of modern Canadian currency that combines over a century of tradition with the advanced minting technology of the 21st century. Though it carries a modest face value of 5 cents, this coin embodies a deep historical continuity, linking Canada's colonial roots, royal heritage, and modern identity, while also representing the evolution of the Royal Canadian Mint's engineering excellence. The 2013 nickel, as it is often called, stands as a living symbol of national pride, nature, and innovation. In this detailed, long-form description, we will explore its design, symbolism, history, composition, minting process, and cultural context in the depth of a 30-minute numismatic study, revealing every intricate detail of this quietly significant Canadian coin. The obverse of the 2013 Canadian 5-cent coin features the fourth official Canadian effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Susanna Blunt in 2003. This portrait marked a turning point in royal coin imagery. It presents a queen in a natural, unadorned form, without a crown, symbolizing both her humanity and her close relationship with the Canadian people. The design was intentionally chosen to reflect a sense of modernity, dignity, and humility, diverging from the more formal, coronation-style portraits used throughout the earlier decades of her reign. In this depiction, the Queen faces right, her hair styled elegantly, her expression calm yet strong, and her shoulders subtly outlined against a polished background. The absence of regalia captures her as a monarch who serves rather than rules, a representation of Canada's constitutional monarchy and democratic values. Encircling the portrait is a Latin legend Elizabeth II D times G times Regina, which translates to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. This phrase maintains a centuries-old connection between Canada and the British Crown, while also honoring the divine legitimacy that the monarchy symbolizes in constitutional law and tradition. The initials SB, found at the base of the Queen's neckline, represent Susanna Blunt, the artist whose design continues to grace Canadian coinage into the present day. The overall appearance of the obverse conveys balance, elegance, and continuity, traits that mirror both the Queen's long reign and Canada's enduring respect for its historical institutions. The reverse of the 2013 Canadian 5-cent coin features the iconic image of a beaver, one of the most enduring and beloved symbols of Canada. This design was first introduced in 1937 by G. E. Kruger-Gray, a British artist commissioned to modernize Canadian coin designs under the direction of then-Finance Minister William Leon Mackenzie King. The beaver has remained virtually unchanged since its debut, reflecting the powerful cultural and ecological symbolism it holds in Canada. The beaver is depicted sitting upright upon a log or mound of wood and stones, holding a branch in its front paws, surrounded by gentle ripples of water. This image captures the industrious spirit of the Canadian landscape. The beaver, as a national emblem, represents perseverance, productivity, and harmony with nature. It is a tribute to both Canada's wildlife and its history, as a fur trade driven by the beaver pelt was instrumental in shaping the country's early economy and exploration. Above the central design is the word Canada, proudly identifying the nation. Below the beaver appear the denomination 5 cents and the year 2013. Near the waterline, the designer's initial kilogram can be seen, acknowledging Kruger-Gray's timeless contribution. The overall composition balances naturalism and formality, blending detailed engraving of the fur and wood textures with the symmetrical lettering of the inscriptions. The reverse design, like the obverse, reflects both tradition and technical mastery, demonstrating the Royal Canadian Mint's ability to preserve classic artistry while continually improving minting precision through the use of laser engraving and advanced die-cutting technology. By 2013, the Royal Canadian Mint had fully transitioned its small denominations to multiply-plated steel technology, a process that had become the global standard for efficient, durable coin production. The 2013 Canadian 5-cent coin is composed of a steel core plated with layers of copper and nickel, giving it a bright silvery appearance while ensuring resistance to corrosion and wear. Composition: multiply nickel-plated steel, steel core with nickel layers. Weight: 3.95 grams. Diameter: 21.2 millimeters. Thickness: 1.76 millimeters. Edge: smooth, plain. Finish: circulation strike, with special proof-like and specimen finishes for collectors. This multiply plating process is one of the Mint's most important innovations. It allows coins to maintain the same appearance and electromagnetic properties as earlier solid nickel coins while drastically reducing material costs and environmental impact. The magnetic property of the steel core also aids in sorting and vending machine compatibility. The 2013 coin, therefore, not only represents artistic continuity but also technological progress, a perfect example of how Canada has harmonized heritage and modernity in its coinage. The Royal Canadian Mint, headquartered in Winnipeg, Manitoba, was responsible for producing the 2013 5-cent coin. The Mint is known internationally for its technological leadership, particularly in plating, engraving, and quality control. Every coin produced in 2013 went through a series of automated and laser-inspected stages to ensure perfect consistency in diameter, weight, and strike clarity. During this time, the Mint was also experimenting with environmental sustainability, using water-based solutions in plating processes and recycling metals wherever possible. Coins were struck at high speed using multi-ton presses capable of producing up to 750 coins per minute, each one inspected electronically for any variation in reflectivity, edge shape, or thickness. The 2013 mintage of 5-cent coins exceeded 123 million pieces, ensuring wide circulation across Canada. Additionally, the Mint produced special proof and specimen sets for collectors, with polished dies and frosted reliefs that enhance the visual contrast between the raised and flat surfaces. These high-quality versions showcase the full artistry of the design in remarkable detail. The year 2013 was a period of relative economic stability and technological growth in Canada. It followed the phasing out of the Canadian penny in 2012, which made the 5-cent coin the lowest denomination in circulation. This marked a turning point in Canadian monetary history. The nickel, once the next step above the humble cent, now stood as the foundation of the nation's circulating coinage. With the penny's retirement, the 5-cent coin gained new importance in daily commerce, rounding functions, and cash transactions. Canadians adapted quickly to penny rounding, where totals ending in 1 or 2 cents were rounded down to 0, and those ending in 3 or 4 were rounded up to 5. As such, the 2013 nickel represents not only an evolution in materials but also a practical shift in the way Canadians handle money. Culturally, Canada in 2013 was a nation embracing diversity, technological innovation, and environmental consciousness, values subtly mirrored in the mint's sustainability. The 2006 Canadian 5-cent coin, inscribed with Elizabeth II D times G times Regina, is a fascinating and historically rich piece of modern Canadian coinage that bridges the traditions of the past with the technological and cultural innovations of the 21st century. This coin, featuring Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and the iconic Canadian beaver on the reverse, represents both the enduring symbols of the nation and the evolution of its minting technology. The 2006 5-cent coin is particularly significant because it reflects the Royal Canadian Mint's transition into a new era of plating technology, security, and precision manufacturing. Below is an in-depth, long-form historical and descriptive analysis of this coin, detailed enough to read and reflect upon over a 30-minute period, unfolding every facet of its story, design, composition, and numismatic importance. The obverse of the 2006 Canadian 5-cent coin displays the right-facing effigy of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Susanna Blunt, a Canadian artist who created a new, more modern portrait that first appeared on all Canadian coinage in 2003. This was the fourth portrait of the Queen to appear on Canadian coins since her accession to the throne in 1952. Unlike earlier portraits, Blunt's depiction shows the Queen without a crown, a deliberate artistic choice meant to present her in a more humanized, approachable, and Canadian context, reflecting her as a mother and elder stateswoman rather than a distant monarch. Around the portrait runs a traditional Latin legend Elizabeth II D times G times Regina, which translates to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. This phrase preserved the historical and constitutional connection between Canada and the British monarchy, while the simplified design style gives the coin a distinctly contemporary feel. The Queen's portrait is rendered with soft realism, showing natural hair texture, gentle facial lines, and calm dignity. The engraving work emphasizes her age with grace and respect, marking a shift from the youthful glamour of the 1960s Arnold Machen design and the mature formality of the Dora de Petithunt effigy of 1990. The smooth, mirror-like fields around the portrait give the obverse a clean aesthetic, allowing the effigy to stand prominently. The initials SB, for Susanna Blunt, appear subtly near the shoulder truncation, commemorating her contribution to Canada's modern coinage heritage. The reverse of the 2006 Canadian 5-cent coin continues the long-standing and beloved design featuring a beaver sitting on a log, originally created by British artist G. Krugergray in 1937. The beaver has been a cornerstone of Canadian numismatic identity for over 8 decades, representing industry, perseverance, and the foundational role of the fur trade in Canada's early economy. The beaver is shown in a naturalistic pose, sitting atop a mound of wood and stones, surrounded by calm, rippling water, a scene that evokes a Canadian wilderness and the spirit of diligent labor. Above the beaver appears the word Canada, identifying the issuing nation, while below the design is a denomination 5 cents and the year 2006. The initials kilogram appears subtly near the base of the design, honoring the original engraver. The reverse also features a small P mint mark located to the right of the date, which is crucial to understanding the coin's technical and historical significance. This P does not stand for a U.S.-style mint location like Philadelphia, but rather signifies plated composition, indicating that the coin was part of the Royal Canadian Mint's advanced plating process. It was one of the first large-scale adoptions of nickel-plated steel for Canadian coinage, a technological leap that improved durability and reduced production costs while maintaining the coin's traditional appearance. The 2006 Canada 5-cent coin represents a major shift in composition compared to earlier decades. Instead of the older 75% copper I-25% nickel alloy, the coin is made using multiply nickel-plated steel, a composition that layers thin coats of pure nickel over a steel core. This change made the coin magnetic, lighter, and more cost-effective to produce while retaining the familiar silvery sheen of previous issues. Composition: 94% steel, 3.5% copper, 2.5% nickel, multiply plating. Weight: 3.95 grams. Diameter: 21.2 millimeters. Thickness: 1.76 millimeters. Edge: smooth, plain. Finish: circulation strike with some coins issued in proof-like and specimen sets. The switch to plated steel was both an economic and environmental decision. Nickel prices had been rising sharply in the early 2000s, and steel offered a cheaper and more sustainable base metal. Furthermore, the multiply plating process, a patented innovation of the Royal Canadian Mint, increased resistance to corrosion and wear, making the coin more suitable for long-term circulation in Canada's varied climates. The Royal Canadian Mint, headquartered in Winnipeg, Manitoba, produced the 2006 5-cent coins using high-speed presses and precision die technology. The P Mint mark was used on plated coins to distinguish them from earlier pure nickel issues and remained a transitional symbol until the mid-2000s, when the Mint adopted plated steel as its standard composition across most denominations. Mintage for the 2006 5-cent coin exceeded 142 million pieces, ensuring broad national circulation. In addition to circulation coins, the Royal Canadian Mint also issued proof-like, and specimen versions for collectors, featuring enhanced finishes such as mirror fields and frosted reliefs. These coins underwent rigorous quality control, laser alignment, computerized die inspection, and advanced plating consistency checks, reflecting the Mint status as one of the most technologically advanced facilities in the world. The P mark symbolized this transition into precision-driven manufacturing and was used as a hallmark of plating innovation before being phased out in later years when the composition became standard. The year 2006 was a period of social and technological advancement in Canada. The country was experiencing stable economic growth, increasing digitalization, and global recognition of Canadian innovation and multiculturalism. Politically, it was a year of change, with Stephen Harper becoming Prime Minister. Culturally, Canada was asserting its identity on the global stage, confident, diverse, and forward-looking, while still honoring its traditions. The 2006 coinage reflects this balance of progress and heritage. Queen Elizabeth II remained the unifying constitutional monarch, symbolizing continuity, while the updated portrait and plating technology represented modernization. The 5-cent coin, though small in denomination, carried daily economic significance, circulating widely through Canadian commerce, from vending machines and transit fares to savings jars and children's piggy banks. From a numismatic perspective, the 2006 P 5-cent coin is not rare, but it holds distinct value as part of Canada's transition into modern minting technology. Circulated examples are common and generally worth face value, 5-cent CAD, but uncirculated and proof-like examples can attract modest premiums among collectors who specialize in modern Canadian coinage. Approximate collector values, as of recent years. Circulated condition, face value 5 cents. Uncirculated, MS65 or higher 50 cents to $2 CAD.